In this video, I will tell you the 3 strengths that make the Canon R50 great, but despite that, I'll also explain why I cannot recommend the Canon R50 without reservations. In the meantime, let's begin with those pros. First, the autofocus is fantastic. Canon put dual pixel AF2 in this small camera. It is fast and very reliable. Dual pixel AF was the reason why I went with Canon when I first put myself in front of the camera. Back then, I had the M50 and it never failed me. It gave me the confidence that my talking head wouldn't go out of focus, so I never had to record the same thing twice. The M50 had dual pixel AF1, the first version, and now with the R50 we have the second version, so autofocus has gone from good to great. To make an offer we couldn't refuse, Canon added not only face and eye tracking to this camera, but also animal and vehicle detection. These features are so good and useful that beginners today are quite spoiled and don't realize how hard it was 10 years ago to take sharp photos of moving subjects. Dual pixel AF2 is a major strength of the R50, letting you worry less and enjoy shooting more. The second strength, good image and video quality. A 24-megapixel APS-C sensor, the Digic X image processor, Canon's color science. When you put them all together, they deliver great photo quality. That's what the R50 offers every time you press the shutter button. Canon slightly downgraded the build quality on the R50 to cut costs. At least that's my opinion, but let's be honest, it's kind of true. Next to older cameras, the R50 isn't bad, but it does feel a bit cheap. When you look at the body and the small sensor inside it, you might think it won't deliver quality images. But the truth is, as small and inexpensive as this camera looks, it over-delivers. The build quality may disappoint, but the image quality doesn't. If Canon cut costs on the exterior, they certainly didn't overlook performance. This camera takes great photos and videos. For video recording, I'll keep it short because one thing says enough. It shoots 4K with no crop and with dual pixel AF2 active. When you add everything up, this tiny and cheap looking R50 is in fact a true photo-video powerhouse. The third strength, it's compact and lightweight. When a camera doesn't break your back and fits in a tiny bag, we're far more inclined to take it with us when we go out. The R50 is one of the smallest and lightest cameras in the EOS R lineup. Just look at the difference when placed next to the R10 and R7. A tiny camera like this can go everywhere with you, making it great for street photography, travel, and vloggers who are always on the go. And I want you to remember that word, vlogger, because connected to it is the main thing that bothers me about the R50, its biggest flaw. So here's why I can't recommend it without reservations. It's not the easiest camera to control. With that small size come cramped buttons and most annoying of all, no back dial for changing the aperture. Because it was designed with vloggers and content creators in mind, everything was kept small and lightweight. And yes, this was intended as a vlogging camera, just like the M50. More companies are making cameras like this. Sony responded with the ZV-E10, Panasonic with the G100. The problem is that designing a vlogger-friendly camera often takes away from what the photographer needs, a more user-friendly camera that lets you change settings faster in manual mode. If Canon had found a way to squeeze in a back dial, the R50 would have been awesome. Sony and Panasonic made drastic cuts too. The ZV-E10 doesn't have a viewfinder and the G100 only has an electronic shutter. That's what happens when companies build cameras for content creators. They forget about photographers. If there's ever gonna be a Canon R50 Mark II, I hope it gets a back dial like the R10. In conclusion, even though it came out in 2023, I still think the R50 gives you the best value for the money when it comes to mirrorless cameras. But when you compare it to the R10, that little price difference feels worth it. And that's mainly because of the back dial. If you put your hands on an R10, you notice the difference right away. On the R10, you can change settings much faster, which makes shooting easier. A beginner might not realize that. They just want something affordable. And that's why I cannot recommend the R50 without reservations. Because when you need to move fast, when you need to make quick adjustments, the R50 can slow you down. So yes, the cramped buttons and missing back dial are the biggest issues. But in terms of image quality, the R50 is great. It's basically a smaller R10. Very capable, just not as easy to control. What do you guys think? Is the poor handling experience the R50 gives its biggest flaw? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. See you in the next video, guys. Take care.